This is an us public health crisis. It's about how we all can play a role in making a difference. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connectedness. And that's why our theme for this year is communities coming together. We want to make sure that each and every person sees the role they can play in responding to this epidemic.
One of our concerns in community policing, because community policing is about outreach, is assisting people that have mental health disorders, substance use disorders, homelessness. What we have found is a lot of those three are all tied together. So we are trying to outreach and do our best to help those people in need.
The Community Wellness Program really allows us as a mental health team to go out and provide resources, education, prevention information, and collaboration with all our partners to educate people on recognizing both mental health and substance use needs of themselves or their family members.
It's an unenforcement related activity. It's unenforcement related outreach. We want people to know that they can come to the police for help in their crisis. And we've actually had them come to our station and say, you know what, I'm ready for help right now. And that's a great thing when they can come to the police and look for help.
Well, as a person in long-term recovery myself, I think it's really important for people to know that we get well, that when we get the help that we need, when people invest in us, when people think and believe that we can do this, that really energizes us and it gives us hope. We know that recovery is possible for everyone.
Myself and my coworkers, who the majority of them are also in recovery, so we have a good feel for the individuals who are immediately at risk. Those individuals will be receptive because nobody wants to see a loved one or family member lose their life as a result of this opioid epidemic. And I think it's fair to say that almost everybody has something in their heart that wants to prevent a loss of life.
Providence is the largest city in Rhode Island and also has the largest number of overdose deaths in the state. We also have the largest number of different resources available in the city. So our work is around trying to leverage those resources that exist, trying to build relationships and connections between those resources so that we can better support the people who live in the city and try and reduce the number of deaths that occur.
All of the people who are doing the outreach were once people who might have either benefited from outreach or might have been outreach clients themselves. So they're people that have been homeless, have been incarcerated, have been involved in sex work. Many of them who are now giving out Narcan or distributing Narcan are actually overdose survivors themselves, which is pretty powerful to have somebody whose life was saved by Narcan to then distribute the Narcan.
Treatment is the cornerstone, really, of our plan, and making any kind of progress in dealing with the opioid crisis is going to rely on having access to evidence-based treatment for people with opioid use disorders.
Often when someone presents with an addiction, they are thought of in many environments as an addict. And that's all that people will see them for, as an addict, as a junkie, as someone who is really defined by their disease. And at Community Care Alliance, that is not our approach. We see the underlying human being, and we recognize that this is a person who is suffering. And so we are going to meet them at every stage of their involvement with us with respect and with compassion, and really consider the needs of the whole person.
So West Greenwich is a rural community. Route 95 travels through the entire town, and what we're starting to see is a lot of the problems that were typically deemed as big city problems have started to kind of migrate their way down the highway. So when we sat down as a group and looked at the recovery piece to this plan, we felt that there was a strong connection between the response side of it and the recovery side of it. That if we could get the first responders to have a better feeling for what it was like to be in recovery and their need, and folks who are in recovery to be part of the community, that gave them a self-worth and they were provided an opportunity to fully engage back.
Well, the Governor's Task Force is really a great group of people. They come from all walks of life. They represent almost every single community in our state. And when I say community, I don't just mean geographic community, but I mean community of interest. The opioid crisis is a multidimensional, multifaceted problem in our community, in our state. So the response has to be multi-dimensional and multifaceted.
One of our first meetings, we had some representatives from the fire department, we had some faith leaders. As a joke, I said, oh, we could do a faith and fire proposal. As we continued to have conversation and develop some of the strategies that we thought would be effective in addressing opiate issues in our area, the faith and fire theme kept emerging, and it kept coming, and it made sense, and faith and fire wasn't such a joke anymore, even in our conversation.
So the benefit of having the fire departments as sort of the central point of contact is that the fire departments are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if anyone decides that they need help, regardless of the time of day or day of the week, they can come here. And we will assist them in providing transportation up to a Providence safe station and coordinate with the personnel at those stations to get them in contact with the recovery coach.
So we treat the human spirit because I tell everybody in the church, we are truly spiritual beings on a human journey on this planet. Validate the fact that they are precious, that they are important. They're not bums. It's not a moral thing. This thing that is going on with the opioid crisis is all about a disease.
This is not the state's problem, this is everyone's problem. And I think that everyone, if they look, will know that they've been impacted by the opioid crisis in one way or another. We can all take a look at what's our role to play, and how do we help come to end this crisis here in Rhode Island, end it in our own community. And that's really the next step. We need to bring these communities together, and we need to solve this, looking at all 4 strategies and looking at how we're going to answer it together.